Welcome to Expedition Networking, a special segment of the Networking RX podcast. I'm Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host for this program. For those of you who are familiar, on the Networking RX podcast, we share information and have conversations with experts, such as authors, researchers, and social scientists. And all of these programs are aimed at helping you learn how to become better at building professional relationships and understanding why they work. In this Expedition Networking segment, however, we're going to bring on successful entrepreneurs and unique professionals and explore their networking adventure and learn how they used relationships to create lasting success. Today on Expedition Networking, we have Casey Hasten. Casey is an author. She's got a book coming out, Awaken, Your Potential, and she's a host of the We Are VIP podcast. We Are VIP is a executive recruiting firm, and she's part of that firm where she serves as a recruiter and a coach. Casey and I met right around the time COVID started kicking off in the spring of 2020. And have become great friends, great networking partners. Casey, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank. I'm excited to be here today.
Well, I don't want to say I feel obligated. I've wanted to have you on, but you had me on yours. I think it was the 50th episode.
You were.
Yeah. And you have a whole production team there. So I think that's awesome. I guess tell us your story. I mean, I've gotten to know you, but I want our listeners to know, your story. And I certainly want to talk about the book that's coming out and, what people can expect and, just how you're a prolific networker. So certainly we'll touch on all that stuff as well. But tell me the story. I'll probably learn something here.
You might. So my story, and I would probably say my transformation, really started about 8.5 years ago when I finally fell out of a career that I did not love. I was in accounting for about 20 years and switched to recruiting. I mean, who does that? Switches from accounting to recruiting, but it changed my life. And that's when I really found my passion for helping other people and really, helping them not work a day in their life by finding that job that's going to be not a job, but a mission for them. And so I landed with a company, and it was a very big recruiting organization, very rigid. Do it this way, hit these metrics, do this. Wasn't as relationship building as I wanted. And so about 4.5 years after I started there, I got all my training, cut my teeth in recruiting, did very, very, very well there. I was recruited away by VIP, where I am now, and I serve as the director of recruiting. But I tell people that's probably about 30-40% of my job now, because I do host our company our podcast, and I'm standing up our executive coaching vertical within VIP, and that's just one of the things I love about VIP. So switching to here, I've been here about 3.5 years now, has really given me the space to grow. It's such an entrepreneurial and forward-thinking company that anytime I came to them, I'm like, hey, I think I want to be a coach, and I'm going to start this within VIP, and they're like, great idea, go do it. Hey, I think I want to start a podcast, and they're like, okay, do it for us. We'll pay for it. And I'm like, okay, and so I think that all of that plays together to where I am today, publishing a journal called Awaken, Your Potential. And this journal is based on my journey and what I've learned and techniques that I use personally to be successful and to accomplish all the things I want. People look at me and they're like, Casey, how do you do all the things you do? It's my journal. It's my journal. It keeps me organized. And so I have been journaling for about 4 years, started off very simply. And over the years, I just got hungrier and hungrier as I read books, as I, listened to podcasts, as, all the things. And eventually that simple little journal wasn't enough because I needed more and I needed more and I needed more. So I had like 4 or 5 different journals that I was using for different areas of my life. And I'm like, this is stupid. This is a lot to carry around every day because it goes with me everywhere. And so I went out to the market to see if I could find one that encompassed everything that I was journaling on daily. It wasn't out there. And so I got this crazy idea, everything I do in life, it's all by the seat of my pants, to publish a journal. And so it's coming out hopefully in December is the target date.
No, I think that's great. And, what we ought to do as we get closer to it is get you back on and kind of we could talk certainly in more detail about it.
Absolutely.
I'm buying a copy, I'm certainly fascinated by the whole journaling, and I think I'm fascinated by journaling. I think people do it in lots of different ways. Mm-hmm. Dan Lefebvre, who we both know, is, he's kind of got me doing some stuff, and I think it's powerful because it really kind of makes you intentional. It makes you think about your day.
It absolutely does. And that's one of the things that I do every morning. I'm a miracle morning girl. After I do my morning ritual, my meditating and stuff, it's part of my morning ritual is I journal out my schedule every day so that I have it clear in my mind. And that does a couple of things and it's something I'll talk about in the instructional videos. It's called double encoding. And so when you write stuff down, not putting it in your computer, when you write stuff down, it's like your brain takes two pictures of it. One, you writing it down, and then a picture of it written down.
Right.
So it's powerful. That's why we need to write down our goals.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They say don't type them out, write them out.
Exactly. And rewrite them.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and of course, there's a goal setting section in the journal.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well, I guess tell us the transition from accounting. I started in public accounting. I tell people I'm going to heaven because I've spent my time in hell. And it wasn't for me. I was a tax consultant. It just wasn't for me. Great people, great job, great pay, great everything. It's just like I'm a people person. Mm-hmm. How did you stumble into? I'm curious as to the relationships and who got you into the recruiting world.
That is a really great question because I never would have gotten into the recruiting world if it hadn't been for one person. And this person was a recruiter. And she was trying to help me find another accounting job. And she kept presenting jobs to me. And I was like, no, that one's not going to work. That one's not going to work. And she finally looked at me and she's like, Casey, you don't even like accounting. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it was so eye-opening. And so think about this. So if she placed me, she's going to earn a fee. Mm-hmm. By telling me that I didn't want to do accounting anymore, her fee just went to zero.
Yeah.
So that was a really selfless move on her part to transition me into recruiting. And she had been in accounting before too. She was a director of accounting for a company for 13 years. And so it's like we were similar souls, and she was like, yeah, you're not in the right field. And she was right. So that's how I ended up recruiting. I went and worked with her.
Yeah, it's interesting why we do that. I remember when I left, I was at what's now PricewaterhouseCoopers, my dad telling me, I can't believe you took that job. That was just so not you. It's like, that was 6 years ago. Why didn't you say something then? I wasted all this time. No, I mean, and it's not a waste, but I do think recruiting is a perfect position for you, especially with your doing what you do because of that accounting background. Mm-hmm. Yes. And well, I guess let's talk about, the recruiting and how you network. We do a lot of the same things, how you network, because that's all going to play into how Awaken gets out there.
Absolutely. So I believe that, I have always been a natural networker. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't doing it purposefully. But I think I was always doing it. And it worked for me. But once I got into recruiting, that's when, the power of networking really became obvious. So, when I talk to people on the phone, whether it's a candidate or a client, mm-hmm. I'm constantly saying, who do you know for this role? Who do you know? Because when you get referred by a person that is trusted, the person that comes to you is going to be way more likely to have a deeper relationship with you as a recruiter and not just that fly by night, get me a job, which is okay, but you have more risk of a fall off, more risk of not putting them in the right seat. If you have that trust established, and it's so much easier if you have it based on a relationship from networking, then you are better able to serve your community. And then as far as the networking, I'm always reaching out to people I know, especially candidates that get jobs that are hiring managers. I'm reaching out to them and saying, hey, who else can you introduce me to in your company that might have a hiring need? And again, that's a much better introduction than me just cold calling them. So networking is huge in my world.
Yeah, well, it's the whole notion of borrowing somebody's trust. I mean, you can
Yeah.
call the target 1,000 times and they're going to avoid you, or email 1,000 times, or however you do it, and they're going to avoid you. But the moment that somebody says, hey, I recommend you talk to, I know this person,
Mm-hmm.
I trust this person, give them 10 minutes, they do. And I think that's a great lesson for people who are out there in the working world, because I talk to people that are just constantly putting resumes into blind boxes that will never be seen.
And that is so true. And we talk about that a lot on our podcast. And that's why we had you on the podcast to talk about that very thing, that networking, because you want to be feeding that well, pouring water into that well now, not
Right.
when you need it. And I can't, so many jobs aren't even posted. It's like the dark web.
Yeah.
They're just out there. And then somebody knows somebody and they reach out to them, maybe somebody from a prior company. So it's really important that you're building that network right now, and just, and maintaining it. You've got to maintain it. It's not enough just to meet people. You've got to maintain those relationships.
Yeah, no, it's that's totally true. I love, what you've talked about. You wanted to start a podcast, and we are VIP said, go for it. We are totally behind it. That's so innovative. And I knew you when you were taking your coaching courses,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd wondered, okay, what's going to happen here? Is she going to leave VIP? Is she going to start this other thing? And when you announced that, hey, they're just taking it on, I thought that was so genius, I guess is the best word for it, because you have a ready market of people coming through who were like you. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but you're like me. You were lost. I was lost in public accounting. I didn't know what my next step was going to be. And I think there are a lot of people who are, got into accounting, got into finance, got into the numbers thing because mommy or daddy were, or it just sounded cool, or they took an assessment and the assessment said, hey, you're good with numbers, you ought to do this. So I think that's really cool. Do the people within the firm then direct people to you? How does that all work?
Yeah, we've kind of, and I'll tell you, the main reason I went to coaching school was because my clients were coming to me and saying, who do you know that can help with this issue? And I was referring that business to other coaches in the area. And I was like, I'm the trusted resource here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go get certified. And so I did. I went to school for a year during COVID. It was perfect, and got certified. But the way it works right now, so we have a whole team of business development managers that are reaching out to get new clients all the time or maintain relationships. And if they hear certain keywords or, see certain problems or opportunities for improvement, depending on what those are, they will send them to me, and then I will take over the sell process.
Okay. So it's a whole coaching program within VIP?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It is. So there's a program that you can do for teams, but then we also, I'm the only certified coach here. I also do individuals. And so, for example, and sometimes the company pays me. Sometimes it's my hiring manager on their own because they want to get better. So I have both scenarios. But like the one where the company is paying for their people to go through, they're paying for them to go through as individuals. And just because they tapped them for leadership and they want them to just kind of grow a little bit before they get there.
Okay. So when you say the company's paying for them, you mean it's not VIP when you say the company, you mean an outside company.
It's our client.
Okay. The clients are paying for it. Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's so forward thinking when companies do that. It's such a great gift that you give to your employees when you give them the opportunity for personal growth.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to find people. And I think as you go up, it becomes more and more difficult. People get locked into jobs, golden handcuffs, I'll call them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to leave. They get comfortable. They don't want to relocate. I think there's a whole host of things, and you've got to do the things to hang on to your people. And I don't know if it's a TV thing or 70s or 80s thing, but we're just this whole mindset of, we just get rid and find somebody else. unload them and find somebody else. It's like, yeah, but it's just a small thing that needs to be fixed. Just fix that small thing. And they're going to appreciate you for it and be a better person for it.
And probably be more loyal to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what'd you want to do when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a writer.
Okay. And you wrote a book.
Really
there
thought
you go.
I was going into journalism. Well,
Okay.
I mean, yes, I've written the content in this book, but it's not a book, but there's a book coming on it.
Okay.
I feel it. It's bubbling up.
Okay. Well, I mean, did you go off to college to do journalism then and then fall into accounting?
No, I ended up, so I'm a non-traditional student. So I ended up starting my business. I started college, got really bored with it, dropped out, started a business, sold the business, went to another company. That company offered to pay for my education because I was doing accounting for them. And so I was like, okay. So went back to school, got my degree, and journalism just, I don't know why it fell away. It just never stuck. I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to tell you real quick. I think I always told myself that I wanted to be a journalist when I grew up. But I think really, I did an exercise with one of my guests, and he's like, go back to when you were 3. What were you doing? And I said, oh, when I was 3, I would take cardboard boxes, make a stage, and get up and perform for everybody. He goes, that's your passion.
Yeah.
Being in front of people.
Well, I'm sure you see it a lot in the recruiting world. And I don't want to bash guidance counselors, but it's such an inexact science what they're trying to do. And we're trying to pigeonhole kids when they're 17, 18 years old and say, you've got to make this decision.
Yep.
And I mean, I literally didn't visit college. I just wanted to play football. That's all I wanted to do. I literally didn't visit. I just showed up. I can play. Okay. I'll see you in August. What's your degree going to be in? I don't know. Economics sounds better than business administration, but it's not science. Right. And I call those just a series of immature decisions. And I'm sure you see that.
I see it every day. I wish so bad that, number one, I could go back and grab myself when I first graduated from high school and just kind of shake me a little bit, but then I wouldn't be who I am today,
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to talk to every recent high school grad and help them make their career choice, because I think I would help them so much more than whoever's guiding them.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost seems like the first year of college needs to be this, okay, here's your basic education. Mm-hmm. It's here, here are certain classes. You're going to kind of get a taste of all these things. But a big component of this is really understanding what's out there. This is what it means to be an engineer.
Yes.
This is what it means to be an accountant. This is what it means. I went to law school. And then took a job where it was anything but really people person, or kind of a people facing sort of a thing. Not entirely, but a lot of it wasn't. Just kind of putting your nose in the books. So I guess talk to me about what do you do to relax? What do you do when you're having a bad day? Things like that.
So to relax, my absolute favorite thing in the world to do is to read. So that is my go-to. I'm usually reading 5 or 6 books at any given time, which means it takes me a little bit longer to finish them, but
sure.
It depends on the mood I'm in,
Yeah.
I also do a lot of investing in myself. So I am a member of Mind Valley. I don't know if you've heard of that, but they call them Quest, but they're courses. And they have all these different things. So for example, right now I'm taking a quest on speed reading because there's so many books out there and I need to read faster so I can get to them.
Yeah. I'm
backed up right now. So I thought, well, I'll take the speed reading course. And then I took a course on, meditation. That's part of my practice. I meditate on a daily basis, but I was like, I want to explore it and go deeper with it. So I'm taking that quest with a meditation expert. Just all kinds. I mean, there's stuff on health. It's so much. It's so amazing. I love it. But for fun, I read, I, listen to podcasts, and I do classes. I'm such a nerd.
No, that's fine. You spend time in Colorado.
Yes,
Something you revealed to me.
I do.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I love to hike. So
Yeah.
we go to Colorado quite a bit in the summer just to get out of the Texas heat and to, get up in the mountains. I love the mountains. And so, yeah, that is definitely something I do for fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something very unique. Very unique.
Yeah.
Awaken, coming out in December.
Yes.
Is there a website that people can go and subscribe to get kind of the primer emails and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to my personal website. It's caseyhasten.com.
Okay.
And there's a tab at the top that says journal. You can go there and sign up for notifications.
Okay. I'll get that in the show note. I will get the journal link in there so people can find it quickly.
Awesome.
And I will sign up because like I said, I'm curious. I want to know when it's coming out. And, again, we should probably get you back on as we get closer just to pimp the book a little more. So,
well, we can talk through it. There's 6 different sections. And so it's a lot. It's not for the faint of heart. I wouldn't say it's for a beginning journaler because they'll probably look at it and go, I'm never going to journal again.
Right.
Because it's a lot, but you got to remember this is based on my 4 years of experience, the books that I've read, and I list those resources in there so that you can go read them too. Don't take my word for it.
Right.
Go explore it for yourself. I really feel like this is my legacy. This is my gift to the world.
Sounds great. Well, I appreciate you being on. You will be a returner.
All right.
I'm committing now. So thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
To wrap things up, remember, we're looking for some enterprising business types to join our team as franchisees of AmSpirit Business Connections. Our franchisees work with entrepreneurs, sales representatives, and professionals in their area to help them become more successful through networking and the exchange of quality business referrals in a structured weekly morning meeting. This is a unique franchise opportunity, you see, because these meetings are in the morning. A successful business type or professional can add this franchise opportunity onto what they're already doing. Again, all of our franchisees do something else. For a couple hours in the morning, a few mornings a week, these franchisees work the AmSpirit Business Connections model. The rest of the time, they're attorneys, accountants, realtors, coaches, and consultants of various kinds. The wonderful thing is that not only do our franchisees realize a financial gain from operating the AmSpirit Business Connections model, but the business networks that they build and develop become a great source of referrals for their primary business as well. Perhaps you know someone, perhaps you are that someone. Whatever the case, to learn more about the AmSpirit Business Connections franchise opportunity, please contact me using the email in the show notes or the one we provide at the end of this program.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.